So I think it's on record now. So I see Tosin joining. Tosin, can you hear us? Hello, Tosin. Okay, let's continue. So last week, we were able to look at, starting from L&D. We worked as far as looking at the value chain of L&D. What value does L&D bring in? And we moved to training needs analysis. We look at the structure of L&D. We look at the KPIs of L&D. We were able to look at also several structure around L&D. That pretty much talks about all our discussion in terms of vendor management, vendor selection. We went all the way to curriculum design, competency-based training needs analysis, which we did some practical work. And we're also able to do some look at contributions of L&D to organization. And again, we look at steps to developing learning culture. We brainstorm around all this. So let me, because of our time, can we all see the screen? Okay. Tosin, you can't see the screen. Hello? I think it's just one person that is online. I don't know. Okay, but I'll continue. So we're starting with module 4. We talked about the analytics. How was it? What's the feedback? Anybody? Hello?
I think they will have to unmute. Hello, sir.
Yes?
I think they will have to unmute their whatever if they have to talk.
Okay. I don't know. It's from their end, not from me here.
Yes, it's not from you. It's not from you. They should just check those icons, and then they will see mute and unmute there. Then they unmute and then speak. But it's better to mute when you are talking, sir, so that there won't be interjections and all.
Interjections. Okay, let me just mute everybody.
Yeah. But we can clearly see the whatever, sir, the screen.
The screen.
Okay.
Yes.
Oh, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear it. Let me just mute everybody.
Okay. Yes. I think it's fine.
Okay. Okay, so just mute all. Yes, continue. Everybody will be muted. So after the class, I will unmute so that we can engage. So we went through the L&D analytics, of which I shared the paper with you. Okay. Ayola is in Poultry House anyway. So, okay. Now let's look at training design. That's where we're starting from. We went apart as far as training needs analysis. We look at training selections, meaning if you're selecting any training, you need to look at the training needs. Unfortunately, a lot of L&D people just choose training without looking at the training needs. That is why it is difficult for them at the end of the day to do training needs analysis. That pretty much is not a fair one on them. Again, you need to look at the available resources, this time around the financial resource. You even need to look at manpower, even if you have the financial resource. Because at times, we talked about L&D efficiency in the class. If you have the financial resource, you don't have the human resource, you'll not be able to effectively carry out what you intend to carry out. Again, you need to look at the training objectives, which is part of the curriculum design. Very, very, very important. You need to look at those objectives and what kind of training methodologies. We talked about on the job training, different types of training. I think I'll be bringing that to us. Okay. Now, if you're designing any training program, let me just put this clear to you. and which is a major mistake I've seen in so many training design. If you're training a program, let's say you're doing leadership training program, you're doing mid-management training program, you're doing technical training program, you're doing behavioral training program. It's a program, and that program is focused on something. I mean, you should define it clearly. Then you can bring on courses under it. For example, if we take learning program on behavioral training program, for example, you can bring things like office etiquette. It's a course under this behavioral program. So if you mention things like office etiquette, it's a course under behavioral program. Then you have modules under office etiquette. You can have the employees' personal conduct, which is part of office etiquette. So the course, the training program largely directs the curriculum design. Then you have the modules. The modules is a subset of the course. If you have things around office etiquette, then you can look at personal grooming, personal conduct as modules under the course. And under the course, let's pick personal grooming or personal conduct. You can have topics like interpersonal communication, which is like a subset of the module, and what is the method of delivery. Very, very important. So again, if you're designing any training, you should look at the training objectives, and the objectives must address competency gap. I think I mentioned this in the class. And what are the learning outcomes? You should clearly state the learning outcome. For example, this training has a learning outcome. So every training must have a learning outcome. And what is the future need of the training? You should be able to state it. Is it for employee to perform better? Is it to close a particular competency gap? Is it a new business area the organization is going into? Very, very important. Okay? And you look at organizational strategy this time around. This can also help you. If you look at organizational strategy, the organizational strategy would define the training objective to a very, very large extent. So it's very important for you to look at organizational strategy. Some organizations are training people in order for them to fit into their future plan, whereas some are training people for competitive reason. So all these are very, very important when you're considering training. Again, you need to look at the L&D strategy. I'm sure you remember how we moved from organizational goal to organizational strategy to L&D strategy, to HR strategy and L&D strategy. This is very important for you, okay? To aid learning. Now, if you're designing any program, you're designing that program to cover many courses. There can be many courses as much as possible. You can have as much as 20, 30 courses under a program. Under a leadership program, you can have different 20 courses. It speaks to different people. But when you get to courses, the courses cannot be cannot have more than 5, 10 modules max, except you want it to be clumsy and, it will extend, Then the training program will be targeted towards overall learning strategy and cover the long-term L&D objectives and strategy. So, like I mentioned here, you have a leadership program, you can have many courses under it. But when you get to courses, they are under the programs. For example, if you have a leadership program, you can have emotional intelligence for leaders under it, key competencies for leaders, strategic leadership development. They are courses under the program. And if you get to the modules and the topic, like I said earlier, they are subsets, and the topic is just a bits and pieces of the learning. So if you are going to have facilitators, 3 facilitators, 4 facilitators, what you allocate to them under the courses are the modules. For example, I can tell John, you are handling this module. I can tell Tosin, you are handling this module. I can also tell Iveren, you are handling this module. And Adeyemi, you are handling this module. So they are under the same course. And again, several courses can be under a program. So This is the summary of what I'm talking about. If you have a training program, example leadership program, you have a course under it, strategic leadership development, and you have module under it, understanding leadership, and types of leadership now comes in as a topic. Okay, very important. So we have a learning model we call ADDIE. If you check this ADDIE model, very, very interesting model. It summarizes everything about training. You need to analyze the training. That's where the training need analysis come in. Here, okay, that's where you see training requirements, the tasks, the participants, current capability. Very important. Before you do any training, ADDIE model said you must carry out an analysis to see whether that training is required, is needed, and I mean, what task does it relate to? After you have done that, you go for the training design. If you followed our discussion from Saturday, it's just the same model we are following. It's just this ADDIE model. An ADDIE model means A means analysis, D means design, the second D means develop, the next one means implementation, and the last means evaluate. That does it. And after you've done your analysis, the next thing is for you to design a learning. You know, you have a learning objective.
Hello.
The delivery, you know, you have that. Okay. Then after the design, so somebody's mic is
Hello.
muted.
Hello.
We are looking for you
Hello.
to mute your mic.
Hello, can you hear me?
Okay, thank you. So this ADDIE method also said you should look at designing learning to address training needs. You should have learning objectives, what format of delivery, is it online, is it webinar, is it physical class, that's instructor-led class. You also have to develop the prototype, what kind of training. That's where you come up with synopsis. You discuss the synopsis, and from there you develop the course materials. There's something now that we just discovered, what we call the training deck. The training deck contains different materials, from the instructor slides to pre-questions, to after questions, to the agenda for the training, to icebreakers, to case studies, to the video. Everything will be in a suite. And that's pretty perfect. It enables everybody, you know, to take a bite from the training. The course material is very, very important. So if you're designing a training, it's very important to look at the training needs. Then you look at the material, very, very important. And the implementation now comes to the delivery. I mean, there are different types of tools for delivery. You know, you can use the online tools, you can use the webinar, you can use the learning management system. We'll talk about all this shortly. And again, after you've done all this, you should evaluate whether knowledge has been gained or not, and you should check the behavior. You should check behavioral change, you should check technical change, whether this has happened. Now, there are different types of ways you can train, different types of methods. We have 13 methods, and I'm going to break each down. We have the job instruction, and the job instruction is more like on-the-job training, where employees are trained while they are performing the job. They are taken along how to do the job by their line manager, who is an expert. This method enables employees to learn by doing it. So when they make mistakes, we correct them. They can learn the practical way. This is the most effective way of learning. The next training method is rotation. Rotation this time around means you transfer an employee to a particular job, or they move from one department to the other, and the manager in the new department will be able to teach them what they ought to know, and they'll come back to their department. In some cases, they stay where they are. This is a practice by one of the big fours. I know quite well in Nigeria, once you get to the managerial level, you'll be sent to Canada or US to do this learning, which is very important. Again, you have apprenticeship. In this apprenticeship type of training, you send an individual, I think Chartered Institute of Stockbroker in Nigeria does this. They call it OLE. I mean, this is where there's a formal agreement between an individual who wants to learn a particular skill. So you go to that person. If you're coming to us at times, this is the one with, I think, bastardized, I'm sorry, which we call internship. It's because people don't want to pay, that's why they call it internship. You know, it's actually apprenticeship. And you see, in apprenticeship, you earn while you are learning. Very, very important. But unfortunately, for the internship we have is a different story entirely. Well, that's no story for today. Training, of course, here when the manager supervises and there's direct exchange of knowledge. Another form of learning is coaching. It's very fantastic. It's where a manager guides the other person to train. Someone raised his hand. Who's this person? Okay. I don't know.
Oh, no.
Someone raised his hand.
Oh. What?
Hello? 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 Hello?
Okay, so I think you mentioned it.
Hello? Hello?
See, please.
Hello?
Can we all see the screen now?
Yes, you can. I can see the screen, sir.
I think I have to mute everybody.
I think you need to mute everybody so that you can
I've
play.
muted everybody. I don't know why it's still allowing some people to talk. Please mute your mic at your end, please. Okay. Another form of training is coaching. In coaching, that's where the manager plays active role in guiding and teaching, and it's for a stated time. The manager guides and corrects. This form of learning is also very interesting. You learn by doing in this case. You also have mentorship, which is mentoring, which is a form of learning. And like I mentioned, is after teaching, you're learning, but you're interested in the overall growth of this person that you are mentoring. This is very, very important. Okay. Then we move to job instruction training. This is a project based and it's usually one-on-one. We've seen a lot of people who want this one-on-one training, and most times is to engage them. Oh, sorry, this person saying you cannot see presentation. It's live. Maybe it's from your end, please. Okay. Can everyone see it? Please, if you can see the presentation, just say yes, please, before I continue. We have a long journey to go and we have just 2 hours scheduled for this. 1 hour, 30 minutes is what we have left.
Yes, I can see the presentation.
Okay. I mean, I muted everyone. I don't know why it's still,
I can't see you.
Please check your system. Everyone is seeing the presentation. And because of you, I've reloaded it again.
All right, thanks. I can see your picture. I saw your picture at a time. That was all that I was doing. Okay.
No. Can you see now?
No.
Okay.
It's just a blank screen. I can see.
I think it's from your end.
Oh,
everybody can see. But you get the presentation.
Yes, I can see your presentation.
So let's continue. I'll send the presentation to you immediately. Okay?
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. You can see job instruction training are usually one-on-one, where somebody works with you and you guide the person one-on-one. Yeah, I've asked everybody to sing. I don't understand. People should mute their mic, please. I've muted it from here. I don't know the problem with Zoom. This is not the first time. Okay. Now we have off-the-job training. Let me give you an example of off-the-job training. This employee is taken away from their job, and again, they're given another job. This is one of the ones we call the secondment. Again, another way to this is employee takes break from the job and goes to a distance to go and learn something new, which usually has value for the organization. You can also learn through discussion, group discussion. Very, very, very important. And it's a form of conversation that several people come to participate, discuss, brainstorm, have a way. But as a trainer, the person is just to facilitate the discussion. What is the problem? What are we resolving? What feedback do we expect? When people share their experiences. There's another training method which is brainstorming, and usually this should be the KSS. We have the knowledge sharing session where people will brainstorm and focus on a particular problem to solve it. You know, and it's a free will state where everybody donates this or idea. Then we have the lectures, the training, and this concept helps to explain things through lecture. So whoever is coming to talk is an expert. You know, some of the ones we see, some of our big HR people attending are lectures. You know, they will, for example, things like Taiwo, something coffee meeting, things like that are lectures. And it's a very good form of learning. It's direct, it's time saving, 2-3 hours, they're out of there. The only difference is it's not practical. In many cases, it's just conversation. Now we have electronic training, which is the introduction of technology. In this case, just like what we're having now is electronic training, where people bring in their responses, and again, you can have it projected. We have internship. Internship is quite educational. Remember, I mentioned something around apprenticeship and mentorship. You know, mentorship in this kind of sense is guided in such a way that the selected candidate regularly studies for a period. Mentorship must be for a period, and again, internship basically are academically driven. So many of these, let's say the medical field, the lawyers, they go on internship, and the internship is to guide them to acquire practical knowledge. Then we have role playing, where an individual plays a role, and the role the individual plays is very key, very paramount for the growth of the organization. And we have a case study base, where a case study is picked and the participants deliberate on this case study and come up with a solution. So that is pretty very important. Okay, so let's move to the next one, learning design. Remember what I just explained to you is training design. Learning is when you now understand what you are designed to gain in terms of knowledge. And there are 7 C's of learning design. Please, I need your attention very, very, very well here. The first thing in learning design is content and activities brainstorming. What is the content? What does this person want to learn? What is the content? Very important. I mean, this is very, 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 very important. What does someone want to learn? You need to clearly state that. And one of the ways to do that, you look at concept mapping, mapping the learning to a program. You look at annotation, assimilative. You annotate the learning. Direct linking to the subject. Then, is this person able to assimilate? You look at the jigsaw. You also look at aggregating resources. You look at where the learner generates a content. Okay. Now, this helps in what we call pyramid model, where most important learnings are small, whereas the generic learning are quite wide at the bottom of the pyramid. We also have communication and collaboration, and this must be structured. This must be structured. It must be something that is targeted towards actual learning. And you can use methods like flash debate. Flash debate is just, let's say in our WhatsApp group, you know, I can bring up a debate that, do you think in this group we need to learn about comp and ben or compensations or competency management? And everybody say yes, no, you know. And again, you can have a group project which brings people together, group aggregation. Some of the classwork we've done in the past, you know, brings people together and they've been able to execute quite a very good project. Peer debate is where you have 2 against 2. Let's say myself and Iveren against John and Tosi. We're having a discussion and people learn a lot from it, okay? And this can be a form of training design. You can also create and capture. You find a creative way to interact and share your material. Another C is to communicate. Once you design the material properly, it's important you have a way of communicating. You know, again, the tools you use to communicate is very, very important. You can go for some training. The tools of communication is just video, but in all, you should moderate the tools of communication. You can also establish collaboration. I think I mentioned this in the class, where a school you can collaborate with a school or a trainer, you know, to train your people to make them to learn. And again, you can consider designing a learning model that we call mapping learning outcomes. This learning model, at each stage of learning, we're trying to map with the outcome, which is very important. You know. Then you look at designing assessment. After learning, what is the assessment? How do you assess the impact of the learning? And again, this includes a diagnostic. You diagnose whether the person you've taught has learned, and you create a formative or summative assessment. Formative means has anything been formed from the learning, and summative means what can we summarize? What can we deduce? Yes, something has been formed, what can we deduce? Is it better or worse? All these are learning method, which is important. Okay, then this one is more like blended learning, where you combine learning activities. You look at the course in an holistic manner. I think I've done this where I was to take 2 courses or so, and I combined them in one. You know, just like saying that come and do analytics for competency management. It's 2-in-1 courses. So all these are part of learning. And at times, some learning are very, very good to bring together so quickly. Okay? I don't know if we have any question. Can we type it? If you have any question, please. Before we go to LMS. Please, if you have any question in the chat room. Please, if you have any question in the chat room, can you please indicate? Are we together? Please, if you are hearing me, I want you to just say hello. Okay, thank you, Joseph. Okay. So we can continue. Now, I want to talk about fundamentals of learning management system. Very, very interesting topic to me. Using technology to drive learning. This is very, very important. So, it's a process of teaching and learning in the web environment. You know, there's somebody who is a facilitator. For example, this course can go on LMS, and we'll attempt to do that on our website. We put it on our learning management system, where someone can go there and look at it as I'm speaking. The person can pick up 1 or 2 things, write a note, you know. It is a predefined approach to learning, very, very important. and it's to ensure that there's easy access to learning, and learning is not restricted to classroom. Learning management system is either on an e-platform, and it's all in addition to learning. It's very, very important. It's pre-planned, it can be tracked, and you can even have other books to read on learning management system. The role basically varies from organizations to organizations. It depends on the organization's objectives. Some organizations don't really buy into LMS. But it's important to note that LMS is a very, very good approach to learning. So learnings are uploaded into the learning management system, and somebody will have at the other end to read through. You know. Okay. Then what are the benefits of learning management system? There are lots. It helps you to organize and safely store your big data. So if we have this discussion of the learning management system in your organization, it will just keep it in your database and said, Tosin has learned so training and she scored so mark, or it can even track her and help you harvest data on those that have learned, what they have gained. This is one of the easiest way to evaluate impact of learning. And again, it's something that you can always go back to because the materials are there. Another benefit of learning management system is it helps to monitor the learner's progress and performance from time to time. We have what we call the built-in analytics for report. So you can go there at any point and pick anybody's report and work with it. Again, if any LMS is designed without a reporting capability, there's a big problem with that LMS because it's difficult to track, to know who has taken the courses or not. Another thing with LMS is it helps improve resource allocation. There are numbers of ways people allocate resources to online training, but with LMS, you can look at the numbers of hours someone is spending on learning management system to learn. You can also identify the aspect of the learning that the person has taken, and whether the person is meeting expectation or not, you can easily track that. So LMS helps much more in learning. It also helps someone grow. Another thing is it personalizes the online training experience to an individual. So you can, through learning management system, you may not have a generic discussion with everybody. It will just be targeted towards an individual to learn, and that is all. You have options from there to navigate other courses. However, you are restricted to your own line of learning. Again, it helps in accessibility to learning. Very, very important. I've seen a situation where through LMS, I was learning while I was in the car. And it was quite easy. I've seen instances that going home, I'll go through LMS. It reads video to me just like this. So LMS allows us to deploy and track online training. Now, somebody asked me this question that if how will people know that they are learning through LMS? First, LMS gives you to your own self-learning. So if you don't learn, you come and lie that you learn. That is your own problem. You are putting yourself inside trouble. Okay? Then, who can benefit from LMS? Many schools, we have schools abroad. We have UNICAF, we have, I can't remember their names now, educational institutions abroad that they don't have physical office. They are run virtually and they run through LMS, Learning Management System. So you just go there, download your courses, pay for it, write your exam, get your certification, you are fine. And if you need to talk to an instructor, you let them know via an email or telephone. They arrange an instructor for you to discuss with you, which is quite very important. And again, a lot of companies are designing LMSs. They are learning management system for different companies. In fact, I recall way back like 10, 15 years ago in Deloitte, where they have bite-sized learning for individual. They buy it and they keep it so you can go onto the system and learn. And another thing is all this learning academy for so many organizations, they don't have LMS. You know, they want to always bring people to class. Through LMS, you can change a whole lot. An institute can also deploy an LMS for its members, you know, to teach them on professional activities, conduct, and all that. Now, how do you deploy these elements? There are different options. There is one that is cloud-based, and this cloud-based is usually by SAS. SAS as the LMS vendor. They build the system. They upgrade it from time to time. They update it. So the knowledge there may change from time to time based on happening events and activities. You know, online learners basically use this LMS by being provided with a username and a password. Okay? You don't need to install anything in your software. Your system is free. Just visit. The only thing you need is internet to access it. You can have self-hosted. In an organization, self-hosted means you have the learning management, you get the software, you download it, and everyone has it on their system. And this is important because if it is an organization that the IT architecture is quite generic and has a lot of security composition, everyone can be forced into learning at a particular point in time. You know, so very, very important. We also have the desktop application where you download the apps on your desktop, and from there you can access so many learnings, which is quite very, very important. Then you have mobile application on your phone, you know, for this LMS. The mobile application helps you. The learnings are uploaded, and through the mobile application, you can view them, you can watch, you can write exam or test or something. You know, I've tried it severally and it works. Now, every LMS needs licensing. There is this open source ones that are generally free. All those, I've forgotten this learning management system that are free. Allison, I've forgotten them. They're quite very free. You know, they allow you to learn, and you know, maybe at the point of collecting your certificates, that's when they will demand money from you. You know, which is very, very important. We also have free license. These free licenses are the trainings that are so free that you can even download and go and learn. You know. However, in some cases, you may need an IT person to help you guard against security issues. Very, very important. When I mean security, I mean cyber security. So you don't think it's a free license, meanwhile it's a freeware or it's a malware that can destroy the entire system. Then you have the paid license, which is not free, but this is so bespoke for the organization that a lot of people can learn easily from it. All this largely are one of the ways you can obtain license. Now, before you get an LMS, please and please check for the following features. But before I talk about them, please, does anyone have questions so far? If you have any question, can we go to the chat room? If you have any questions so far, so it doesn't get boring. If you have question, please, 1 minute, just type here. Any question? Okay, but yeah, there are different types of LMSs, but the one that I would just advise you is please design a bespoke one for your organization. You know, maybe if I understand your question, we're talking about the kind of learning platform that is LMS. Please, it's good you check the features. You know, maybe one of the things I'll do is send the lists with materials I'm sending later today and the features so that you know where to pick from. Okay? I don't know if TJ have answered your question. So let's look at features of LMS. LMS must contain reports to show whether someone has attended a training or not. It's very, very important. Okay? Yeah. Moodles is very, very good. We have Moodles, we have SARS 19, we have Mordi, MORDI, the lot. Okay? So, it must contain analytics and report. Very, very important is to determine a lot of things and take track. Even how many hours somebody spent on training. Yeah, it's good to track all this. Very, very, very good. Okay. Now, LMS should be responsive. This time around, meaning it should be able to respond when easily navigated, and it should always be sought that can be upgraded. Very, very important. Okay. Another thing is LMS should help in intuitive user interface. In this case, the users of LMS should find it very, very easy. Should draw them, should make them hungry to use in the LMS. That comes with a lot of look and feel, okay? And the look and feel can be very, very important in LMS. Another thing is you should have a support service. This is the major problem with LMS in Nigeria. People deploy LMS and there's no support service. A lot of people just get hanged. I have seen an LMS where we need a service provider to help us and was demanding for extra money. You know how Nigerians do business. Anyway, it helps in e-learning assessment too. It helps to assess the impact of learning easily. Okay. Another thing is gamifications. This is like an extra feature to make people find it easy or motivate people to do extra work. Again, we have compliance and certification support. Every element should have certification and compliance support, meaning they are certified, they are good, they comply with all regulatory standards before they are deployed. Okay. Now, you have social learning support. In this case, it gives the individual the chance to interact with other peers and share experiences. LMS, in my opinion, should not be closed. It should be something that is social, open. Other people from other organizations can plug into it and, flow with things. Again, we have some LMSs that have to be localized. It's very, very important that you localize some. Some are very sophisticated, very good, but they are not for our environment. That's the truth. Let us look forward and grow what adds value to the organization. So, from LMS, we're going to knowledge management system. At this point, I want to ask again, does anyone have a question? Can we quickly go? If anyone has a question, 2 minutes, can you just tell us what the question is? Please, I am waiting. 2 minutes, does anyone have a question? Okay. So someone has a question. Yes, I agree with you, TJ. I mentioned the issue of securities earlier. I mentioned the issue of securities earlier, that for security reasons, LMSs should be well controlled. It should be in a controlled environment. Okay. Now, let's make this next one quite interactive. And I need your response in the chat room, please. Knowledge management system, let me define it. You talked about learning academics must have it doesn't defeat. No, it doesn't. You're talking of a situation. If it's on mobile, it's about security. See, if you're looking at security, nobody will move in Nigeria or anywhere in the world. It's good. What I'm just saying in essence is make your security features very, very strong. You know, very, very strong. Who tells you that even within your space, within your internal use, you cannot be hacked? So it's just for you to build up your security. Very, very important. Okay, I just want to ask a question and I want everybody's response in the chat room. I want everybody's response in the chat room. TJ, are you okay with the response? Please let me know in the chat room. If you're okay, let's move on. Let me just narrate this and get your discussion about it. You know, I told you this is not a practical class anymore. It's a discussion that we all be engaged in. Okay, let me ask this question from us, which is quite interesting. You have an aging population at your workplace, meaning in 2, 3, 4 years' time, most of the people at the top management will retire. Let's say you have an employee, a workforce of 1,000, and out of those 1,000, you have a population of 250 that are old men and women. And in 5 years' time, these old men and women, all of them will exit the system. Again, these are brilliant men and women who have contributed immensely to the organization. What would you do to retain the knowledge they have? Can I have your response? I'm in the chat room. What would you do? Please, can I have your response? Okay, coaching methods should be implemented. Thank you. Any other response? Any other person, please? CJ has suggested that coaching should be implemented. Any other person? We need to extract as much knowledge as possible from these guys through mentoring, coaching, and documentation before they exit. Okay. Tosin, mentorship too. Okay. Now, let me tell you something very brilliant. You guys are. Thank you, Tosin. Thank you, TJ. Thank you, DG. Counseling, Ayola. Thank you. Keep them as consultant and partner. For how long, Tosin? Yeah. Okay. Now, knowledge management system is a very good way of dealing with this. Knowledge management system refers to any kind of IT system that stores and retrieves knowledge, improves collaboration, locates knowledge sources, mine repositories for hidden knowledge, captures and uses knowledge, or in some other ways enhance knowledge management process. Let me explain what it means to you. If an organization is facing high attrition rates, very high attrition rate, and not that they are retiring this time around, I know some of those things, and this can work in IT firm. I know that some of these guys living are very brilliant. They can handle projects. So you can have a system where first you have documentation of their work and you have them, yeah. Thank you, Austin. You help them document their work, everything they are doing, their reports and everything. You gather this and put it in what we call knowledge repositories. So if 5 years anybody wants to work on a similar project, let him go and pick that file and read through how this employee did it in time past. so that he or she can improve on it. And again, don't forget, knowledge management system helps in the storage and retrieval of knowledge. And again, before you do that, before you store the knowledge, you look at the knowledge source. You first collaborate with the person, whether your internal staff, and let the person know that he or she has responsibility to know X, Y, Z. So it's very, very important when you extract this, you put it in a knowledge repository so that even when this person has gone or exited the system, you are fine. You are very, 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 very fine. Okay? You don't have any challenge, any problem, because the person's exit should not disturb the organization, which is very, very important. We have, let me also ask, how do you feel if a brilliant, knowledgeable staff leaves the system? I mean, how do you feel? Do you feel like, hey, let him go, we get a replacement? How would you feel? Can I get a response at the question section? Question and answer section, please. How would you feel? Ayodiji, please check your, okay. The question is this, TJ. Ayodiji, please confirm that you can hear. The question is this, TJ. You have 20 employees that are working, and 5 of them very brilliant, well-known, they're exiting the organization. What do you think, how do you feel about it? Or how would you feel about it? So I believe everybody has heard the question, or should I repeat? Okay. CJ said you can lure them back by matching their salary. Okay. Any idea? Okay, survey has it that most people live for better or greener pastures. Okay, not great will be my feeling because the absence of the knowledge of the job will affect the business. Okay, now let me tell you what every organization does in the world. They sell knowledge, whether in their products or in their services. You know, whether in their products, in their services, what people sell, what organizations thrive on is people's knowledge. What you are doing in your organization is your knowledge that they are buying. They are buying your intellectual capability. Whether you are putting it in the product they're designing, whether you're putting it in the services, in engaging customer, it is not all of these people that you can match. Yeah. Some you will match their pay, they'll still want to go. That's the truth. If you match their pay, they will still want to go. That is the truth. And what that tells us is there is need for us to keep a system that works. Very, very important. Now, with knowledge management system, you can keep knowledge of everything they do. I remember working somewhere in an organization. What I did was this. Let me share with you. When I got to that organization, I went into the system, like the database. I was given access to it. I went back since the inception of that organization. All the works that everybody has done, I put them in a packet. What I mean by a packet is I put them on a different folder of knowledge. I haven't put them on that different folder of knowledge. I just have to be reviewing. I discovered that most of the things these people did are quite very, very laudable. I don't need to reinvent the wheel. I just moved on, and I just improved on what they did, which at the end of the day brings big, big credit to me. And I say, hey, I didn't do this, but people that were here did this. So it's very, very important. So knowledge management system is good to capture people's knowledge, whether talent, so that you don't fill the gap of their knowledge. The benefit is is the extension of business knowledge from one generation to another. It also helps to maintain business history and the concept for the future. Meaning, whatever we do today will be a point of reference tomorrow. That is very important. Then, when an existing knowledge exists, you can also, help it. You build on the existing knowledge. You also give background to some projects. I've seen a situation, I think way back in Deloitte, then when we had a project, I had to go back to the file and check. And that gave me some idea of what to do. We also help to grow multidisciplinary approach in problem solving. You get every other person in the organization and you look at the history. It also helps to build a culture of learning and growth, meaning we are not discarding important knowledge and contribution. So this is how to build a knowledge management system. I think okay. To build a knowledge management system, you determine key knowledge in the organization. Not every knowledge is important. That's the truth. You determine which key knowledge is important. Policy design, who did design this policy? How did they design it? Okay, there's this software. How was it done? It's important. Okay, you determine what is important or not. You harvest the knowledge from these important ones through the experts. In fact, one of the ways I think we've advised an oil and gas company in Nigeria is they design their KMS in such a way that they made these existing people like lecturers. They made them like lecturers. And after make them like lecturers, they just harvest all knowledge they needed from them. You just need them to prepare training slide, and those ones are preparing. Meanwhile, they are gathering their training slide, and they were keeping some, so that they don't lose their knowledge. Again, after harvesting, you need to edit all the knowledge and maintain what we call a knowledge bank. And again, you can put it in codes. Let's say accounting knowledge, ACCT001 on financial reports, ACC002 on tax. Just put it so that if I need anything I'm accessing, it's easier for me to access what our elder brother Ayola has done 10 years ago. Okay? Then you create access for users, so you can give individuals access to go into the repository to get knowledge. However, it's important that you manage access to this document, because some will go and pick the document and put it in such a way that the document is no longer on electronic shelf. So I think it will be well controlled. Very, very important. Webinars and e-learning. What we're doing now is webinar. And e-learning is electronic learning. This is the difference. Webinar is online real time, like I'm engaging you, we're talking. But e-learning means I will design this thing I'm giving you. I will design it in such a way that you can read and understand. And I'll put it on an electronic platform, whether on a website, or on a flash drive, or on something, so that you can pick it at any time to read. So that's electronic. So for e-learning, it's putting things in electronic format for your learning. It does not necessarily need a web-based touch. The webinar needs a web-based configuration for deployment. That's just the difference. Okay? Excuse me. So webinar enables participants to enjoy a session like we're discussing now. Again, it helps to look at, it also helps to coordinate meeting. It is an online event. It connects the trainer or facilitator to people. Which webinar, anybody can be anywhere in the world. I have this webinar I attend on risk management, every time. I think there's the one I was attending at the middle of the night at a point in time, because it connects people all over the world. Very, very important. It is usually done within a short time. Webinars that are more into 4 or 5 hours can get so boring. Very, very boring. That's the truth. Because one, there is learning in looking at the person's face. That's the truth. There is learning in looking at somebody's face, his gesticulation and everything, body language. Body language is part of learning. That's the truth. It's very, very much part of learning. So don't let your webinar be too long. And there's so many webinar tools you can use. I know of Zoom. I know you can use Sky Webinar. Very, very important. So webinars are a very good way of learning. Now, when webinars are required is when you want to optimize your learning budgets. You know that, okay, I don't want people to travel from Kano to Lagos or whatever. And so let's do 2 hours webinar every week, every day, so that wherever they are, they can log in, they can learn, and they are fine. And again, webinar drives conversation across all locations. I think I've mentioned that it is not restricted to a location, and it makes it easy and convenient. Again, you know, the e-learning parties, we're recording this conversations we're having. We're going to put it in a format and send it to everyone. We're going to have a link to it to study, to read, to go over it. You know, but what we're having now is webinar. Once this webinar is recorded and put in electronic format, it becomes an e-learning material. So that's the difference. The session can be recorded and shared with others who are not in attendance. I think I mentioned that. It promotes culture of learning on the go, a mobile learning, meaning you don't need to sit in anywhere formally. You can learn on the go. And again, it drives learning culture and helps to manage learning budget and derive maximum benefit from it. So, I want to talk about facilitators and trainers. Before I go ahead with this, I want to ask for your opinion. Okay? Okay. Facilitations, training, public speaking are not the same. I've seen people mix this up. They've mixed it up. They've said a lot of things, and I just tell them and say, hey, you know what? All these are not the same. You can have a blend of both at times. You need to wear the cap of both, but usually they are different. And I'm going to explain the difference to you today. A trainer lives by practice. It teaches you practically. I want to put up this next picture, and I need your opinion from it. Please, I want you to read for 1 or 2 minutes. And in the chat room, I want you to tell me who I am. Am I a speaker or a trainer or a facilitator? Or am I just a trainer? Or am I just a speaker? Am I just a facilitator? Or am I the combination of the three? Please, can you respond in the chat room? Who do you think I am out of this? Speaker, trainer, facilitator. Okay, we've lost 2 people, but that's fine. Okay, thank you, Austin. You said I'm a trainer. Any other response? We're down to 7 from 11. Who's left? Network challenge. So am I a trainer, a speaker, or a facilitator? So they say 3 of them because you develop content, develop skills. Okay, thank you. Okay, Uncle TJ, thank you. Ayala said I'm everything. Kilode? Okay, thank you. I think that is John. Okay, now situation determines what you have. You know, I would say truly yes, I am the 3. It depends on the situation. You know, if I'm invited to be a speaker, I'll go there to inform and inspire. But for a trainer develops your capacity. So what we've been having so far is training. If it is facilitation, I will talk less. And a lot of times it is you guys that will come up with so many solutions. But at the point, there was a blend of both. there are instances when you need to blend both. The who is a trainer. Training basically is a process of disseminating knowledge through practice and follow through. If you see a trainer will be practical, very, very practical with you. A trainer will have to run you through step by step of what to do. And he will tell you, like what we did on Saturday, I worked on the analytics sheet and I said, you guys should do it. That is training. And when you're not getting it, I say, I'm not getting this formula, a trainer will come in and help. So a trainer will advise you, will not only advise you, he will be there, he will guide you through, on what to do. So a trainer will practice and he will also guide you. So that is a trainer. And if you look at it, a trainer will instruct, will teach on specific content that needs to be learned by participants. And this is done through presentation and practice. If you notice, we'll go through our presentations and we'll also go into Excel, to look at something and I say, hey guys, practice this. Let us see. Again, a trainer prepares objective. What is the objective of going into the Excel sheet? So if you want to do training needs analysis, I'm not just theoretically taking you through. You can practically undo it. You don't need me after the training. Ordinarily, you may not need me because I've guided you through how to do training needs analysis, competency-based. So that is what a trainer does. An effective trainer will also pay attention to the learning process. There was a time on Saturday when I said you guys are tired. I think we should close and have today. So that was what the trainer will do. A trainer will look at the learning process and also select the pace. The early part of the day I was very fast, but towards the evening I was very slow. I need to look at you guys and say, hey, the pace of learning has dropped. That's where I mentioned the law of diminishing return. At that point, I knew learning is not taking place because I've rigorously weighed out some things out of you guys. And I say, hey, let me slow down. Let's have this thing done in a better way, which is why we're having this webinar. And that's why I said the webinar should not exceed 2 hours. Okay? A trainer will usually deliver through short training session, introductory, training plan, ongoing skill, progression. Ordinarily, I would have kept you 3 days in the class with this topic. But I look at it, initially I thought we'd be able to do. But again, the learning pace for everybody in our class was different. I have to put that into consideration and say, hey, this person is not learning as fast as this person. But I want everybody to learn. So I have to be slow, I have to be patient. And for a trainer, once the fundamental skill has been learned, it goes into coaching. So that's when you call me, I'll coach you, don't do this, don't do that. That relates to your job, at work. Again, who is a facilitator? That's the ability to lead conversation and guide participants in gaining knowledge. That's a facilitator. He's just going to guide you on how to gain knowledge. He would not teach you. So a facilitator does not need to have current content knowledge. He's just guiding you. He's just watching your conversation. Whether you get it right or not, excuse me, this is not the subject matter deep down like that. It just guide you through, okay? But a facilitator should be able to strike a decision-making process, a problem-solving method, and intervene at points when he or she. It's also good that a facilitator should wear the hat of a trainer. So now what we've seen in the International Association of Facilitators is that we are even encouraging facilitators to become deep trainers. So you must have the knowledge of the subject matter so that you can be effective in your delivery. A facilitator must understand the group process and how to prepare and monitor agendas and how to help the group or team to achieve its goals. So during discussion, the facilitator will help to monitor agenda and make sure that everybody is achieving what they need to achieve. And a trainer may involve using questions, activities, reflective practice, gaming, a lot of that. Again, a very good facilitator will help you in self-discovery. Very, very important. Okay, so this is about second to the last. I mentioned in the class that there are 4 competency areas. Permit me that I want to a bit log out of here for 1 minute. And okay, no, I don't. Let me just look at this. Please, can you see the screen? Anybody? Can you see the screen? Okay, let me be sure we're seeing the screen. So let's look at competency model. I'm not supposed to do this, but I want to do it. So we have a competency model. This is a competency model. I'm drawing up. Okay, let me quickly check what the chat is talking about. Everything. No, I can't. Oh, but can you see now? I will share it. Please, can you see the screen? I need everybody's response. Okay, okay. Thank you. Now, if you're looking at competencies for L&D managers, we have 5 competency level. We have 4 competency areas. Okay, so we have the competency level. We have the technical. We have the behavioral. We have leadership. We have the business knowledge. Okay, then we have competency level. We have the basic. We have the intermediate. We have the masters. We have the experts. The technical here are the junior level. The intermediate is between, is next to the basic level, and you have the masters. You have a way of categorizing that, but I don't want to go into that. In competency model, you look at, let's say master here is head L&D. The person's technical expertise, behavioral expertise, leadership expertise, business knowledge will be different from the person at this level. Please, very, very important. Okay? But that's not my concern. We're not, if we have competency modeling class, I will invite you. It's quite an interesting class, practical. But let's look again at HR competency model. HR competency model are in 9 areas. First, you look at HR expertise, that's HR knowledge. You look at the ethical practice, relationship management, communication, consultation, leadership, global and cultural effectiveness, and critical evaluation. This is according to Society for Human Resource Management, SHRM. I want to announce to you that I'm part of the project for CIPM, and hopefully very soon we are going to release our own model, which will be localized. So if you're picking this model, I don't know if you can see the screen. Please let me know if you can see the screen. I'm going to allow room for question and answer very soon. We have about 20 minutes to go. Okay. Okay, thank you. Thank you, Tosin, thank you. Okay, thank you. It's quite unfortunate, like we have more than half of the class. No problem. Now, out of this is one of the competency area for HR manager. It's just talking about the knowledge, the principles, the practice of HR. We have a discussion coming up on the 21st of March 2020, which largely is going to talk about expertise you need as HR manager. And we're going to be breaking this expertise down so that people that are coming into HR space will know where to develop and what to develop in terms of their expertise. Okay, so the knowledge expertise has the following competences. Somebody that is in HR basically, out of the technical competence is the knowledge of labor law, is the knowledge of workforce planning, recruitment, training and development, compensations and benefits, employee and labor relations, HR administration, HR finance and budgeting. All this are the technical competence that an HR person must possess, basically due to HR value chain. Another competence is relationship management, which largely implies ability to manage stakeholders and workforce while focusing on supporting other functions and also making the organization to develop. Very, very important. Okay. Then we'll move on to the competencies now that's under relationship management. We're looking at things around teamwork, networking, advocacy, community relations, responsiveness, influence, ability to engage, ability to demonstrate approachability. All these are relationship management competencies that an HR person should possess. Another is consultation. How many of you know that HRs are also consultants? They provide guidance, advice, direction to organization on people matter. This is very, very important. Again, this covers creativity and innovation, project management, talent management, change management, organizational interventions. All these are consultation competencies that HR manager should have. For leadership and navigation, HR plays key leadership role. And those at the leadership level in HR should possess the following competencies: organizational transformation, resource management, succession planning, driving organizational strategy, performance management, organizational politics, regulatory liaison and compliance, then leadership development. So if you're a leader in HR, you should put all this at the back of your mind. They are key competencies for leadership and navigation. Again, for communication, it entails the effective and efficient exchange of information or data across business lines. Okay? So, excuse me. Shed light on organizational politics. Okay, thank you for that, CJ. Organizational politics largely had to deal with the way and manner HR managers handle different interests in the organization. Managing different interests means people's interests are what drives them into politics. So the HR manager at the leadership level should be able to manage this interest. And not just that, he will be able to create advocacy and ensure that every interest is taken into consideration in decision making. Again, I have a book coming up on organizational politics. The book is called Folds. Okay, I hope to release the book before middle of the year. I don't know if I've answered your question today. Today, if I've answered your question, let us know. Okay, thank you. Yes, okay, thank you. Now let's move next to communication. I've talked about communication. So let's look at global and cultural effectiveness. As HR manager, this concept will help us to drive diversity and inclusiveness, look at organizational behavioral pattern, and focus on organizational philosophies, core values, and ideals. These competencies will help you drive organizational design. Okay? And that is when you're looking at diversity, global best practice, tolerance and acceptance, adaptability. It's a very, very good competence for globalization and cultural integration. Ethics and professionalism. As HR managers, should be able to demonstrate integrity, best practice at all times, upholding the standard of the profession. So the major competencies that you will need here are ability to build rapport, to demonstrate high level of integrity, at workplace, at everywhere. Excellent personal grooming and conduct. This is, I think we talked about this, okay? Professional courage and credibility is important, and sound judgment. We also have the 8 critical evaluation. Very, very important. You should be critically evaluate every situation as the HR manager. It is a demonstration of the depth of appreciation and the use of knowledge. So the competencies covers critical thinking, analytical research thinking, or research mindset, business solving, knowledge management, auditing skills, and measurement, as well as assessment. So business acumen being the 9th one. If you remember, we mentioned all this. I'm still going to further explain it to you here. Before I get out to the last part of the slide, which is reports. Okay. Business acumen makes HR practitioners demonstrate strategic intent towards the organization and its development. It's very, very important. HR managers should have the following competencies in order to perform in terms of business acumen. They should possess what we call strategic agility. Big grammar that TJ would have spoken in the class. But thank God I'm holding the class today, so TJ has no grammar. Okay? Now, for strategic agility is telling you in terms of the speed of execution of your strategy formulation and implementation. You as HR manager, you should be able to drive this. You should have knowledge of economic awareness. What is the GDP saying? A lot of data that you can pick in terms of macroeconomic elements, the inflationary rate, the price of crude. All this will help you in terms of your business decision. System thinking, how does the system operate? You also have effective administration, knowledge of finance and account. All these are business acumen, where you can talk in numbers, not like you are blank. As HR person, you should be able to talk in numbers and understand some things in numbers. Very, very, very important. And again, you should have good knowledge of government and regulatory guidelines, the standard. You should have organizational metrics, again, as very good knowledge, and business process management. The knowledge of the product and services your organization offers is very, very important. Very, very, very important. Just, many times people feel that, HR people don't add value to the organization. They do. And the painful thing is HR people don't look at these competencies to add value. They are not economically aware. There's no system thinking and all that. So let's look at L&D manager. What are the competencies for L&D manager? The business knowledge of it is industry specific. It depends on where you work and the kind of knowledge you will have. So in terms of technical competencies, an L&D manager typically should have competencies around workforce competency assessment, TNA, training needs analysis, curriculum design, HR analytics, HR budgeting and cost management, because you will be spending money, strategic workforce planning, because you'll be training people in the workforce plan, human resource business partnership. You will be looking at this. There is a free webinar we're planning, hopefully sometimes next week, on strategic human resource business partnership. So we'll send a link to you if you've been interested. It's just going to be like a 2-hour session. Strategic human resource business partnership. I've seen a lot of people bastardize this HRBP. So that's what I just stay and be looking at. Okay. So hopefully we'll be able to send you the link very soon on strategic business, HR business partnership. Then an L&D person should have knowledge of HR policies and processes, regulatory standards, use of Microsoft Offices or software, vendor management, contract management, presentation skills, facilitation skills, report writing, training, assessment, and evaluation. Behavioral wise, it is non-negotiable that L&D managers should have effective communication, good interpersonal relationship, teamwork, negotiations. Okay, question. Somebody is asking a question. So which book are you talking about? So please, which book are you talking about? Did you, I think is the network in your country. Okay. HR managers should also have good teamwork, negotiation skills, emotional intelligence, problem solving, analytics, organizational skill, conflict management, advocacy. Very, very important. And the leadership, if you want to be a leader in L&D, you should be able to mentor, you should be able to coach, you should be able to delegate responsibilities. Effective leadership is very important in terms of guidance and directing, motivation, task management, decision making. L&D managers are very, very important for this. Okay, it's very, very important. Okay, so if you're looking at, oh, okay. Oh, just in the book I'm writing is there are 2 books, even 3. Organizational politics, that will be out. And we're looking at books around strategic HR, BP. These things will be in the market very soon. And I hope you buy. I won't slit your throat. It's going to be very cheap. Very, very cheap. But there'll be a lot of work materials, worksheets coming with it. Okay? Don't worry. That's by the side. Okay? So let's look at trainers and facilitators. For trainer and facilitators, some competencies: technical competence. The person should have subject matter expertise, ability to use training tools. Incidentally, I've seen a facilitator, a trainer who cannot use pointer, who doesn't know how to put on projector. And I say, what? Person must have presentation skills, audience management, learning assessment, time management. And again, behavioral wise, the person must have good communication. And please tell me, did I communicate very well during our training? This is a feedback time. Oh, yeah. In fact, let me start from subject matter expertise. Do you think I have the subject matter expertise from your assessment? Okay. And do you think I communicated well? Please be very honest. Mr. Digi, don't think so. Just say it the way it is. So, feedback is a way of improvement. Thank you, Mrs. Nwadike. Again, thank you very much. My head is swelling. Okay, let's move on, guys, because of time. Thank you very much. What happened to my voice? I'm speaking for now, right? Don't mind me. That's the way it happens on webinar. Okay. So, as a trainer, you must have effective administration. As things were going on, my team, Ayola, Kemi, and John, as they were working, I was joining them in the administration. One way, asking for one thing. They did a fantastic job. And I'm open here to say thank you, John, Ayola. Incidentally, Kemi is not joining us here. But I thank you guys. You've done very, very extremely well. And for a trainer, you should have ability to manage tasks. Very, very, very important. And should be able to think strategically and also be able to take a good decision at a point in time. Again, for trainer, if you're talking about business knowledge, it is industry specific. The way I would train HR in the finance environment will be different from the way I'm going to train HR in manufacturing. Probably HR in finance does not deal with industrial issues, but in manufacturing, you deal with so many industrial issues. So I have to put stakeholders into consideration whenever I'm deploying. So that's about the business knowledge. Finally, learning and development reports. How many of you have L&D reports? We have 5 minutes to go. I'm going to give room for question. Don't worry. Okay. L&D reports. After all said and done, I promise you I'm going to send you a template. I'll send it after this class because of our time. But since we have a WhatsApp group, please read through the reports and the weekly, monthly, quarterly, yearly report. I'm going to send you the template after now. Before the end of today, you will get it. But I want you to revert back to me and please let me know if you have any challenge with the report or you want to improve on it, please. Tosin said I'm winner. Tosin, please chat me up and hold me responsible for this. I want to make it, I'll send this thing to you. And I have a few other materials. I have up to like, I don't know, maybe up to 6 to 10 materials to share with you. Okay? The ones I shared with you are for your use in your office prior to now. And Mrs. Lizzie, I'm going to send your own mail separately. Don't worry. So L&D report basically are reports that L&D people will have to send to various stakeholders. Yes, thank you, John. For everyone that I've not forgotten our policy on project. I mean our projects that we intend to do. So please, I'll follow up on you. We have 1 month. Now, if you're writing L&D reports, you need to put the title and the period. You'll see it in the format I'm going to send to you. Name and position of the author, action from previous week, month, quarter, half year, executive summary, key events that happened in your reports. Okay, I'm going to mention these key events as components of the report next. Then you need to mention the key challenges you are having. Maybe lateness to training venue, the vendors are not good and all that. You need to state the key challenges and make recommendations for solutions. Very, very important. But what are the components that you look at for an L&D report? Let me ask you before I go to the next page. I'll soon finish. I have a few minutes more. Okay, it's not about the time anyway. But what do you think should go into L&D reports? What are your responses, please? What do you think should go into L&D reports? Can I have your response? Anybody? What do you think should go? You need to send all my emails. Yes, I'll send it to you, Mrs. Nwadike. Title of the report, no. Training budget, yeah, Austin, thank you. Austin got it. No, this is, TJ, you are missing the structure of the report with content. What are the types of reports what are the things that will go into your key reports? What are the things that will go into your key reports? Okay, to save our time, these are some of the things that will go into the key reports. Okay, quickly. Your training distribution reports. How many people have been attending your reports month by month? How many people did you schedule for reports? How many people came for the report? What is the average training rate? We mentioned these metrics in the class. You know, how many people are trained by the distribution across departments? How many people are trained by each department and at what time? What is the budget for the department? What is the actual? You know, that's the training budget report. What is the budgeted? What is the actual? What is the variance? What is the percentage consumed or overspent? It should be in your report. And which department spent most? Which location spent most? Which grade level spent most? Very, very important. We also have training attendance reports. How many people attended? How many did not attend? We also look at competency reports. How many competencies did you identify? 500. Based on the report, how many has been closed out? We also have training need assessment report. After you've done your TNA, you draw your reports, which you submit. You have a training plan report. We've done training plan in the class. You put training department account. Who and who's going for this training? You state everything in your report. Bulky report, but it's important. training impact report that is yearly, that this training we have spent 5 million naira this year, how much has it generated in terms of revenue? That's when you have return on investment on training. Then you also look at training administration reports in terms of logistics, in terms of the administration, the structure, the number of people in L&D department, training need assessment report. I think, am I repeating this? Okay, this is training assessment report, not training need assessment. So meaning after the training, you've done assessment of the training. Is it effective? Are the curriculum well designed? Okay, I've sent you materials on this earlier. Facilitators, trainers reports. That's the reports they submit. You also need to look how many facilitators submitted reports within the timeline and all that. Complaint management reports. What are the complaints from the people that are being trained about the material, about the environment, about the facilitator, about the curriculum, about everything? You need to note their complaints and put it in your report so that management will know what people are complaining about. Then you have report on local training, implant and non-implant. Look at the amount you spent, how many people attended, how many people are supposed to attend, what is the training rate. Then offshore, we mentioned this around exchange rate. We mentioned this around how many people went for foreign training, what is the purpose, what's the justification, number of days, per diem they spent and everything. Very important. You see it in the report I'm going to send to you, no problem. Now, who are those that receives HR's report? The head of HR, the executive management, the board of directors, head of performance management and recruitment team. Why the head of HR? Because he's the one that defends the report, except you are the head of HR at the same time. You know it happens in Nigeria and anything can happen in Nigeria. Again, executive management, you have to take decision, for example, in terms of training needs analysis, training budgets. Board of directors also, we have to ratify the training budget and all that. Head of performance management, we need to look at training gaps. We need to look at the gaps, competency gaps to drive performance, okay? And recruitment team for effectiveness of deploying learning and development mandates. Ladies and gentlemen, this is 13 minutes or 12 minutes to 2 o'clock. I just want to thank you for your time. I believe it's been a very wonderful time from my end, and I'll be glad to get your responses. Any question, please? TJ, I do not understand your participant. What do you mean by participant? Please, can we quickly ask our question if you have any question? Thank you so much, TJ, my Miriam friend. Tosin, thank you very much. Thank you so much, Tosin. I think this is being recorded. I'm going to send a link to the group for us to look into it. And coming up is the strategic human resource business partners discussion. It's going to be quite interesting. It's going to be free webinar. And if people want to have it, no problem. The link will be ready. It will be sent out. And by the grace of God, we should be having it sometimes by the weekend, this weekend, Saturday, I guess, should be having it, talking about it. Okay. Thank you, Austin. I really appreciate. Anyone have any question? Any question, any question, any question? But I hope you all enjoy the class. Okay. In the absence of no question, I want to thank you so much for your time. I really enjoyed being with you, enjoying our time together, learning together. Don't mind my accents that changed. I need to do packaging. I don't know if Igbo people are listening to me. Yes, Austin, there are core competencies, there are non-core competencies. Let me explain it to you. Core competence, let me pick an HR person. One of the core competences of HR person is the knowledge of HR policy, or let me put it as, let me pick somebody in compensations and benefits. One of the knowledge the person needs is knowledge of regulatory deductions and all that. Okay, the person should be able to deduct and all that. However, the person may, that is core competence. That's knowledge of regulatory standards. That's the core competence. The non-core competence now is the use of Excel. Because tomorrow Excel may be irrelevant, but the knowledge, the primary knowledge, the primary competence the person has still remains. The person may be using Power BI, may be using any other tool, but that's core, you know. But the other one, that's the other one, which is non-core competence, largely is just secondary to the core competence. Okay. Don't worry, we all have the materials. I'll repackage the materials and send it to us. And I do believe that we will all enjoy it. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for your time. Have a wonderful time at work. I do hope we connect very soon again. I appreciate you subscribing to our training. Please watch out for our training. We have HR analytics coming up, and I can tell you it's the best that I will ever have deployed as a person. We're bringing in some analytical tools that are statistical in nature that will help you. You know, it's quite different from the ones we have around. This time around, we're taking it to another level. I can bet you. So watch out for this. Thank you and have a wonderful afternoon.